Good morning students, welcome to today's online class. We will be starting with a new biology chapter called life process. Now what is life process? Organisms which undergo the process of nutrition, digestion, respiration, transportation, excretion, etc. are called life processes. Now let us study life process in detail. For example, when we see a cat moving around, we understand it's a living organism. When we see her dog wagging its tail, we understand it's a living organism. Or a man selling fruits or vegetables on the roadside shouting, we understand it's a living organism. But how do we know plants are living organisms? Plants also are living organisms because they grow. We find them with green leaves. Some plants have yellow leaves, but still they are living because we find the growth movement. Now, for example, a cat or a dog or a man is sleeping. Now how do we know they are alive or dead? So the criteria is we need to see the breathing movement, whether they are breathing or they are respiring or they are moving. We find that and we understand that they are living. So one such process today we will be learning, that is heart. So heart is nothing but a symbol of love, but we are not learning about love in our class today. We are learning about how the heart functions or how it works. So heart is just the size of our fist and it is located towards the left side of our chest region. The heart beats 72 times per minute. Okay, now we will just understand in a simple basic manner how the heart functions. So the heart is divided into 4 chambers. Just like we have 4 rooms in our house, same way we have 4 chambers in our heart and each chamber works differently. Now, which are the 4 chambers of the heart? Right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle and the left ventricle. So these are the 4 chambers. Now let us understand how the atrium and the ventricle works. Now, types of blood received. The types of blood received from the right atrium are deoxygenated blood from the body, and the left atrium is responsible to receive oxygenated blood from the lungs. Now, let us learn the types of blood pumped out. In the left ventricle, it is responsible to pump out deoxygenated blood from lungs, and the left ventricle is responsible to pump out oxygenated blood from the body. So this is how the atrium and the ventricle functions. Now let us learn with the help of a diagram. This is the diagram of the human heart. We can see there are 4 chambers in the heart: the right auricle, the left ventricle, the left auricle and the left ventricle. It is either called auricle or atrium. Okay. Now let us understand how they work. Now the left atrium has to receive the blood from the superior and the inferior vena cava. Now if the blood has to enter the right atrium has to be in a relaxed position to receive the blood. Once it is in the relaxed position, the blood enters the right atrium and the blood has to transfer to the right ventricle. So when ventricle has to receive it, the auricle on the right side has to contract and ventricle has to expand or relax. So the blood is allowed to pass in. Once the blood is received by the ventricle, it has to send the blood to the pulmonary artery and then to the lungs. So it will contract. So when they contract, pressure is created and the blood is pumped out to the pulmonary artery and to the lungs. So this we see with the deoxygenated blood. Now let us understand how oxygenated blood is transferred. So when the blood has entered the lungs convert the deoxygenated blood into oxygenated blood. So the blood enters the left atrium through the pulmonary vein. So it enters to the pulmonary vein into the left atrium. Once it enters the left atrium is going to be in a relaxed position, that is in a open position to receive the oxygenated blood, and at the same time it will contract to send the blood into the left ventricle. So now the left ventricle, which was in contract position, is going to open, that is in a relaxed position to receive the blood. Once the blood is received by the left ventricle contracts to pump the blood to the aorta. This is called as aorta. So through the aorta the blood is circulated to all parts of the body. So this is just like the balloon. When we press one end of the balloon, the other end starts filling with air, so it starts becoming bigger and bigger. The same vice versa when we press the bottom part, the top part starts becoming bigger enough. So the same way our heart starts functioning. So heart is nothing but the pump house which pumps the blood to all parts of our body. Let us understand the difference between arteries and veins. Arteries, they carry deoxygenated blood to the body, whereas veins, they carry deoxygenated blood to the heart. So they carry oxygenated and they carry deoxygenated blood. Blood flows under high pressure in arteries, whereas in veins blood flows under low pressure. Here in arteries valves are absent, whereas in veins valves are present. Why veins are present is to prevent the backward flow of blood. And arteries have thick walls and veins have thin walls. Why does artery have thick walls? They have thick walls so that because they have to circulate the blood only to the nearby chambers, whereas in veins they need to circulate the blood to all parts of the body. So they are thin wall and here they are thick wall. Blood, we are studying about blood and we know blood is in liquid form, so it is a liquid connective tissue. We save each and every drop of blood because blood contains 4 components, which is called the plasma, RBC, WBC and platelets. Plasma are usually yellowish in color, whereas RBC is red in color because they carry oxygen to the whole part of our body. WBC are also known as white blood corpuscles. They help in building immune system. Platelets help in clotting of blood, mainly when we meet with an accident or we get a injury, and they minimize the loss of blood. That means they do not allow the blood to flow more and more, because if the blood flows more and more, a person can die. So platelets are very important component of our blood. Now let us study about blood vessels. There are 3 types of blood vessels which we already learned, that is the arteries, veins and the capillaries. So today we have completed with the first process, which is known as transportation or the circulation system in human beings. The organ which we have studied is the heart. So we'll continue in the next class.